Welcome, Drink with James, episode 65. I'm back the way I want to be, alone, without anyone else to take the attention. You know, I love Marcel, but part of me felt like he was trying to steal the spotlight a little bit in the last video. So it's nice to be here, back in the conference room, Tim behind the camera. He can't say anything, so I get to just bask in all of your attention. Welcome again. If you haven't seen the last couple episodes, we've had Marcel and Moti on the show last week. Tim will link it up here. We've had Sydney from LaForce and Stevens, who manages Veuve Clicquot. She dropped some fucking insanely hot knowledge on us. And now you just have me. But if you haven't checked out those episodes, make sure you go back. You can also, if you don't want to watch us talk for 30 to 40 minutes, how long are those episodes?
Those are both 30 to 40
Yeah,
minutes.
so if you don't want to watch us talk for 45 minutes, we do have a podcast. It's not anything different, it's just the audio from it in a podcast. So a lot of people like to do that. I saw somebody the other day, this has nothing to do with the podcast, but it just makes me feel cool. Somebody was working out and the treadmill had YouTube and they were catching up on Drink with James on the treadmill while they were working out, which I loved. So feel free to just like slide into my DMs, take a photo, tag me with whatever weird situation you're watching Drink with James in. Because I love people sliding into my DMs. Even if I don't answer all the time, I do read them all. So if you are new, you know we have a lot. We've had thousands of new influencers sign up for Fourcard since we had the verified authentic followings, which we're super excited about. Welcome. If you're new to the show, don't be shy. You can ask questions in the comments. You can slide into Tim Jeffries' DMs. He'll put his Instagram up here. You can slide into Fourcard's DMs. You can slide into my DMs and ask your questions that way. You can ask them anonymously. Sometimes we have people who would rather send an email because they don't want their name out there in the comments or whatever. Whatever it is, send us questions because questions make the show go round. So please ask them. What else? Oh, exciting news for me, completely irrelevant for you, but I'm going to Provence next week. So if you do follow me on Instagram, which you should do, if you do follow me, you're going to see a lot of Provence content. I'm going with my family. I'm very excited. There's a grass tennis court there, so I need to sort my tennis look out. That's my big to-do before I leave on Friday, is I need white shorts and a white polo and white shoes and white socks for the grass tennis court that I will be playing on. But if you don't follow me on Instagram and you want some Provençal content, then you should follow me because it'll be there. Considering saturation in the market, do you genuinely think doing all the work it takes to grow an Instagram nowadays can be done with a full-time job? Short answer is yes. I do think that you can have a full-time job and grow an Instagram, but I implore you again to step back and ask yourself why you're starting an Instagram account. There's never been, in our experience of the bigger influencers that we have interviewed, most of them don't say, oh, I started this to grow the account really big and become a famous fashion blogger. Now, I understand the world is a lot different today than it was 7 years ago when Gal Meets Glam started her Instagram account and was, and Blair Eady from Atlantic Pacific started. The world is very different, and there was no precedent for them to understand how successful they could be. And I understand that that precedent has been set now, and so people have the expectation that they can reach that precedent as well. Again, let's step back and remember a lot of these people have been doing this for 5 or 7 years, and I think this question actually came from a comment that, we do generally bring people on the show who have been doing this for years and years, and that is because, and who are really big, and again, I think that is because it takes so long to grow a following. And so I don't want you to get a couple years in and get dissuaded, but I also don't think I don't think you should step back and say like, I want to create this Instagram so that I can have a lot of followers. If you have a point of view that is different and unique and interesting and exciting to you, it will probably be exciting to other people and you will probably grow quite quickly. I still think that's possible. We still see people who have explosive growth on Instagram all the time. It is harder than it used to be, certainly. There are more voices out there. There's more lenses. There's more of everything. The quality level is so much higher. It is harder to grow. If you're starting an account with the goal of trying to grow it, and that is the goal, then you're probably not going to be successful. If you're starting an account because you're really excited about this idea you have, or you feel like your style is quite a bit different than other people's, or you are filling a gap in the market that doesn't exist, I do think that you can grow that while you have a full-time job, but you need to be different and unique in some way, or what the fuck is the point? Nobody's going to follow you anyway, so there isn't a point of starting it. I don't know if that makes sense. People spend an enormous amount of time. Let me step back. People waste a fucking unfathomable amount of time in their lives. And if you spend an hour a day on your Instagram, that's not that hard. Like, everybody has an hour a day. I'm sorry. Like, you could just watch one less TV show and you have an hour a day. So if putting, let's say, 10 hours a week into your Instagram isn't enough to get it to grow, then maybe the underlying concept or content is wrong. And again, I think you should set reasonable goals. Understand that, we've talked to a lot of people that said, a year in, I was at 1,000 followers. And then 2 years in, I was at 10,000. And then 3 years in, I was at 75,000. Growth sometimes happens like a hockey stick, where it's slow and slow and slow, and then it gets faster and faster. But I think if you have a concept that you think is interesting, and you think people are going to connect with it, and you can cut an hour of your day out every day to interact with people and to do all the things that we talk about and other people talk about to try and get attention towards your Instagram account, that should be enough to get you started, to get you to what we talk about all the time of product market fit, where you have something that people are interacting with and it's growing, and you feel like you're getting positive reinforcement along the way. And those, take those little wins along the way to let you know that you're on the right path. So I don't think you can, bull in a china shop your way into a following. You can't just follow these 50 rules, do these 50 things every day and get a following. And that's that core thing that I don't think other websites or people or blogs tell you, is that sometimes it's not going to work out. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to work out forever. I started 5 businesses before I started Fourcard. It doesn't mean that you can't have an Instagram account or have a place to create content that's going to work. It just means the concept that you have at that moment, at that time, in that place isn't going to work. And that's different to it's never going to happen for you. But banging your fucking head against the wall for 3 years while you're sitting at 1,000 followers and trying all these tips and tricks, there's a point where you have to say, this isn't working, I need to try something else.
Do you think people are scared to do that?
I think it is scary to do that, yeah. I think, because here's the thing. The next pocket of growth, the next person that grows, it's doing something completely different than what other people have done. And so to get that kind of exponential, explosive growth, there's not a fucking thing I've said in 65 episodes that is going to get that for you. It's something that nobody has thought of. It's a completely new point of view. It's a completely new way of shooting photos. It's a completely new way of using Instagram. It's a unique voice that your comments and the stories you tell in them are incredible. Those are things that, it's talent, probably. And so you need to keep trying stuff. And again, I'm not saying if it's not working today, it doesn't mean it's not going to work in 5 years. There does come a time where you have to look at yourself and say, do I think this is going to work? And the answer to that could be no, but you could still enjoy it. And then I say, just fucking do it, who cares? But if your goal is to grow a following, you do need to come to that difficult decision of pivoting at some point and saying, cool, this doesn't work, I'm going to try something completely different. I always preface this question by asking people who's the last account they followed who's the last account they followed and why they followed it. And so here's my most recent follow. He's a skateboarder. I don't skateboard. But I do follow a few skateboarders. This guy is really fucking weird. You know, like I follow a couple skateboard, like I follow this woman who I really like, Sierra Prescott. She's like skates in like a 1950s, 1960s California style. She's super cool, awesome style. Been a fan of hers for a while. This guy like is a skateboarder, but he builds these weird like mini skateboards or a skateboard inside of a skateboard. You have to check out his account. Again, I don't skateboard at all, okay? And he's like he's just totally unique, and his content is so much different than any other skateboarder. He doesn't do any big tricks or anything. But again, it's like you see it and you're like, I've never seen anything like this before. And I follow it and like, again, it's not like skateboarding is a big passion of mine, but he's giving me something every day that I've never seen before, and I really appreciate that. Next, I've got 86,000 followers on Instagram, congratulations, and 20K on Facebook, but 40% of my followers are male, which doesn't help with the plus size female fashion brands that I'm trying to work with. Should I be blocking these people? Should I not be? How do I deal with this problem? That is a great question. Not many brands have access to your demographic information. Do I think you should be honest with them? Yes. But when a brand, let's say it's a plus size clothing brand and they're looking to work with someone and you have 86,000 followers, that's awesome. Does that, like your follower number is your first piece of marketing towards a brand, right? Your second piece is how what your feed looks like. Your third piece is probably your content. Fourth piece is them clicking through on a link maybe and looking at your blog or something like that. So that's probably the steps that most brands will take. But that first piece is the follower count. So that's massively important. And so by the time the brand reaches out to you, it's because they already probably want to work with you. And in that case, you know, you might in your negotiations want to say, hey, I just want to be totally upfront with you. I do have, you know, a percentage of my following that is male. And obviously they're not probably going to be buying plus size females clothing, but even if only 60% of my following is female, that is probably 60% is probably incredibly interested in plus size women's clothing, and you are probably an expert in that field. And so the 40% isn't as much of a problem. The other thing is that you are operating inside of a niche in some ways. You know, there's less plus size influencers than there is not. And so there's not as much choice for brands when it comes to people to work with. So I bet even the 60% of your following comes at a higher premium than the same number of followers for, you know, someone else that's maybe doing something that's it's more targeted towards, you know, whatever the normal kind of brands that people work with. So yeah, I think like kudos to you if you're going to be upfront with your clients. Absolutely don't block these people. I mean, unless the guys are creepy and they're sliding into your DMs. But insofar as the brands go, I think you certainly don't have to, and you shouldn't block them. But I would be honest about that. I think that there's not enough honesty in this industry. The next question will kind of probably touch on that a little bit. But brands aren't going to say, oh, you're 40% male, like I'm out. But it's nice of you to kind of set the expectation and let them know, you know, what your following is made up of.
So get to 100K.
So yeah, get to 100K and drop me a line when you get there. Last, how can I get verified on Fourcard? The question on everyone's lips in the last few weeks. First of all, we have a fairly exhaustive blog post, right? We have a fairly exhaustive blog post that kind of lays out how we build follower health, how follower health informs verified authentic followings, and how you can get there. But I will summarize it. As you know, we have a follower health tool which scans your following and rates in a follower from -8 to 8. -8 being 100% a bot, 8 being like my account is probably rated an 8. There's only there's a finite amount of information we can get from Instagram. Username, do they have a photo, like a profile photo? What's their bio say? How many followers do they have? How many people are they following? How many posts do they have? Do they have a link in their profile? We look at all those things, and we look at all the variations of what those inputs could say to us, right? So does the person follow 7,000 people and have 500 followers and 2 photos? Do you think that's a good follower? No, that's not a good follower. So that person would probably be a -2 or -3. Is their name Instagram follow 724? That's probably a -7. Does their bio say, like my photo and I'll follow you back? That's going to be a -4 or 3 maybe or something. So there's all these different inputs and all these different scenarios, and we give those people a score. And then we've scored thousands and thousands of influencers' accounts, over 50 million Instagram accounts we've scored. And we looked at the averages across the entire platform that we've scored. And we set benchmarks, and then we took a level above those benchmarks, and we said, okay, these people, we feel really confident that these people have built their following authentically. Does that mean that those people have never bought a follower in their life? No. We're not saying you've never bought a follower in your life. We're saying we feel really confident that this following has been built organically and authentically. And then for everyone else, we're not saying you 100% have bought followers. The only way we could know if you bought followers is if we get your credit card records and we saw that you went to, sendmefollowers.com, which is not a real website, I assume, and purchased followers. So there's no way for us to 100% know if someone bought followers. But what we're saying is we're not confident. We're not 100% confident that this following was built authentically. And so if you are on Fourcard and you're not verified, first of all, disconnect and reconnect your Instagram. It's probably that you just haven't been scanned. There's still a large majority of the platform that hasn't been scanned. So if you haven't done that, start there. If you do have a follower health graph on your profile, but you're not verified, you can send me an email. We are considering giving influencers a Excel sheet of their bad followers, and they can go through and block those people, and we'll let you know how many accounts you would need to block to get verified. So if that's something people are interested in, that's something that we can do on a case-by-case basis, and we can kind of let you know how many followers you would need to block to get verified. We'd love to help you get there. You could use an outsourced service. There's a lot of services that work with tech teams in Bangladesh or India or somewhere like that, the Philippines, where you could pay someone $5 an hour to block it, say go block these 3,000 accounts. It could be done in a week, and you could get your verification. So that's something we're considering doing, but the verifications will move as the averages of the community move. So if on the whole everyone's accounts get healthier, then it's going to get that much harder to get verified, because we need to be able to say we are very confident that given the averages across the entire community, these people we feel really good about, these people we don't feel as good about. So those are the options right now. Again, what's probably happened is that you just haven't been scanned, so you need to disconnect and reconnect. If you have been scanned but your graph doesn't look good, I'm happy to send you an Excel sheet to show you some of those bad followers that you have, and then you can block those followers, and we can let you know how many you would have to get rid of to get your verification. And Tim can throw my email up here. You can send it directly to me. So good luck. Know that if you didn't get verified, you're not alone. There are thousands of influencers whose accounts we scanned who didn't get verified. Again, that doesn't mean that we're 100% saying you bought followers. It's just that we aren't confident that you didn't, and we're not confident that the account's been grown organically. So, with that, we're done for the day. If you need me, I'm in Provence, so don't call.